A very good morning. Thanks for joining this session about the Autodesk Media Collection for games. My name is Jean-Pierre, or JP, to make things easy, and I'm a technical sales specialist for the Autodesk Media Entertainment products. Besides that, I'm also a Autodesk and Unity certified instructor. I'm gonna start the presentation because we have a lot of things to discuss. If you have any questions, what I will do, you can use the Q&A panel or you can use the chat functionality in the Zoom toolbar. I see someone who's already typing something in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Very good. And at the end of the presentation, so 30 minutes, that's what we timed for this, 30 minutes. So it's gonna be challenging, but let's see. And after the 30 minutes, maybe we can stretch it to 35 minutes. I'm gonna answer all your questions you're gonna have about the very specific tools available in the collection. So let's start with the presentation. So if you take a look at the Autodesk Media Collection, obviously it's a collection with many tools in it, which is being used for film, TV, and games. And obviously this webinar has a strong focus on games. So a good thing to remember that with every collection, you automatically get 5 Autodesk Arnold licenses for distributed rendering. And also you do get 15 Bifrost engines if you want to do any kind of Bifrost simulations with Maya. So that's already a key differentiator, because with a single license of Maya, you only have 3 Bifrost engines, which can also run on a distributed environment. So literally comparable with network rendering, and with a single seat, you only get 1 Arnold license. So with the collection, you get many licenses, you have all the tools available. So probably one of the most interesting things, it's much cheaper compared with investing in point products and Arnold licenses. Of course, obviously, completely dependent on what you're doing. And it's applicable for small, medium businesses. So specialized workflows, obviously, you can still use Max for modeling, level design, do character stuff in Maya, render any kind of cinematic scenes with Arnold. We have Motion Builder in there for cleaning up mocap data, still a very strong tool. Mudbox is in there. You probably are aware of that. Recap for photogrammetry, very interesting with retopology tools, where I'm going to talk about what we can do with scanned meshes. Obviously, that's becoming an industry standard. Working with scanned meshes, cleaning up scanned meshes. And then we also have the character generator tool. So let's start with 3ds Max with a very strong focus on games. Okay, and obviously one of the main things what you want to do in Max, if you have modeled your asset, you want to check how your physical materials are behaving on your assets before you send them to your real-time tool. So a lot of viewport enhancements has been implemented in 3ds Max. A lot of people are still not aware of it, and they think, well, the viewport, it's slow, it's ugly. But I just want to remind you a couple of things. So I'm just gonna play back a couple of videos. So this is the viewport in 3ds Max, how it looks like. Obviously, it's not a character. This is just a short other example with a camera. But when you start setting up your viewport, we have image-based lighting real time in the viewport. Keep in mind, though, it's only directional light. Also roughness. So if you change in the physical material roughness values, it will automatically update your viewport. And there's also an invert option in the roughness, so you can easily switch it to a glossiness value. So there's an invert option available in there as well. Also matte shadows. So if you only have to create a ground plane and assign the matte shadow material. So that's the material which we've been using for a long time, and the plane will act as a shadow catcher. All these kind of things are working as long as your viewport is set to high quality. That's an important thing to remember. Also grading, if you want to do some tone mapping. A tone mapping is working based on every viewport. So you can select every viewport and you can do some tone mapping in there as well. And in the latest version of Max 2022, there's even a bloom effect is available. So what you see here, this is just a image, a screen grab from 3ds Max with the bloom effect being activated, and that's one of the options available in your viewport settings. As long as, keep in mind, as long as you set your viewport to high quality, bloom needs to be activated though, and it's working on your most brightest pixels, so it can be a light or it can be an emissive material. And also there is a presentation mode. So imagine you modeled your game assets and you want to present it, you want to have a design review. There is an option available where you can go to presentation mode. So you get rid of all the menus and all the tools available. So you have a maximized viewport. And with the control spacebar, you can easily activate it, go back to a floating viewport. That's the only thing what you need to do. You need to start a floating viewport. So as soon as you have a floating viewport, you can utilize the maximize viewport option. And this is a very practical example where you have your floating viewport, you can reposition it on a secondary display, enter presentation mode, and then obviously it's a viewport. It's just a floating viewport in an expanded version. So as long as you start interactive with your scene, you start, reposition objects, change shaders, etc., that will automatically be updated in the maximized viewport in presentation mode. Also, if you want to check your IBLs, you're gonna utilize in Unity or Unreal. That's a very important thing. And use physical materials or PBR materials. So in this particular example, I'm using the PBR material, which is just a simplified physical material. And the only thing you need to do is just drag textures in, set the viewport to high quality, and you're good to go. And also a good thing is both Unity and Unreal do support physical materials and PBR materials. Okay, so that's important that both materials will be exported in the FBX file format. If you're using Unity, be aware that you need to use the latest version of Unity, and then you get all your, your roughness map, your normal maps, metallic maps, automatically imported from Max into your game engine. So that's helping a lot, because then you do get automatically the same visual quality what you will be using. So also imagine if you have a bunch of textures. That's also a very nice tool addition. So textures.com, that's probably your favorite place. You can download textures, import a complete folder, and with the PBR importer, 3ds Max will automatically detect, hey, that's an ambient occlusion map, that's a metallic map, that's a roughness map. And based on the selected folder, Max will automatically create a complete PBR material. And again, if you sign the objects, set up an HDR in the viewport, you immediately have a realistic representation of the PBR material straight into the viewport. And also a big advantage, now when you use the physical material in Max, you still manually have to set your gamma correction. So only color, so base color is only getting gamma correction. So you never ever should gamma correct your roughness, your normal, your metallic maps within the physical material. If you use the PBR material, so in Max the PBR material, you necessarily don't need to change the gamma settings. So that's automatically going to set to the right version. So this is, again, it's a super user-friendly material, and again, just select the textures. PBR importer can be found in the Slate material editor, and is also available as a utility. So literally you're building material libraries based on your downloaded textures, and it's automatically saving out the library. So, and again, PBR materials will be exported within FBX so that you don't need to hook up your textures again in your real-time engine. So that's gonna save a huge amount of work. Okay. Also, modeling, that's quite a big chapter. So modeling improvements, a lot of modeling improvements has been done in recent versions of 3ds Max. So obviously very important for game workflows is retopology. We have different algorithms. There's the reform algorithm, that's the Autodesk developed algorithm, and there are also some open source based algorithms available. So just gonna show a couple of examples, what some best practices and how to set it up. So this is typically what you get, a very triangular based. So this is really a bad example to send this straight into your engine. We need to clean this up. Okay, so in the past you had to use the manual tools available in the ribbon. Super annoying because it was very labor intensive. Well, now in Max, since Max 2022, we have retopology implemented. Keep in mind though, to speed things up, if you have a symmetrical model, slice the model in half. Okay, then do the retopo and then use the symmetry modifier. That will help with the final results. Retopology is installed with the latest update. So in the past, it was a separate download from the Autodesk App Store. And now it's built in since the 0.1 update of Max. So it's just a modifier. You set the face count. You choose the algorithm. You hit compute. And in a couple of seconds, this is going to be your result. And then with the symmetry on top of that, you have a very clean model. Also brilliant in a game's workflow is generating LODs. Okay, so imagine in Unity, if I just set a placeholder or I create a basic object with ProBuilder, I convert it to a linked prefab, then I send it into Max. In Max, I'm gonna use to utilize the retopology tool. I create my LODs and I send it back in Unity. So Unity will automatically have all the updates. So for LODs, it's brilliant. And also if you have scanned meshes, they are way too complicated. Just copy and paste if you want to keep the original. It's also available in the modifier. So this is literally just mouse clicks with the retopology workflows. So generating LODs is very, very simple, and you get quad-based meshes as an output. So that's helping a lot, and that's also improving workflows. From a game's point of view, booleans, that was really something you always should avoid. Well, in 3ds Max, but also in Maya in the past, because you don't have control about your topology. Now with the retopo modifier, it's a different chapter, because now it's not a huge problem to quickly use Boolean tools. Keep in mind, if you're using Boolean tools, before you do the retopo, you need to subdivide the mesh. because you need to have a decent amount of input with regards to polys. It's obviously when you subdivide the mesh, it's triangular based. So you can set the edge length. So you need to have some kind of resolution. And then when you have subdivided the mesh, then you can start the retopo process. And also keep in mind if it's a symmetrical version. So retopo, set the face count, what you want, hit compute, and it will do its work. If you lose some additional details like here on the edges, that's based on some parameters like regularize. So you want to have as much many same quad-based polys faces, and then there's also the adaptivity. So that's gonna help to get better results. Symmetry, flip, and then you can, if you want, you can do the add a chamfer modifier on top of that, and this is gonna be the result of a Boolean model. It's a different chapter. So scanned matches is another example. Look at the left model, how detailed it is, the right model, and with retopo, it's also much easier to do some bake to textures. You want to generate normal maps, that kind of stuff can easily be done. So if you have, for instance, if you have a scanned mesh, really high resolution, best practice would be first to use the Pro Optimizer. So Pro Optimizer, so to get rid of the overhead of vertices and polys, and then do the retopology. So that's gonna be helpful. Also, performance-wise, a lot of performance improvements has been made in Max. So the left side you see Max 2021.3 with an auto smooth modifier in a couple of seconds. If I do my smoothing, it takes 56 seconds to auto smooth the model. The same model in Max 2022 is only taking up 2 seconds to do the auto smooth in the smooth modifier, and that's just one example. So many modifiers have been completely rewritten. Okay, and I do realize mesh deforming modifiers, that was another chapter. Okay, this was literally slowing down 3ds Max. But since the 0.1 update for Max 2022, there's a huge difference with regards to frames per second. So you can see the differences between the 21 version and the 22 version. So with deforming meshes. So under the hood, a lot of things have been optimized. Same approach for the auto extrude feature being introduced, I believe 1 year ago. So we started very basically with move and scale, holding down the shift key, where you can easily extrude faces, inset faces, and it will automatically, clean up faces for you. So it's automatically gonna weld vertices. This was the first implementation. Later on, this is the bridge mode. So a quick example, cut and bridge. So you can easily, select polys, use shift scale, and then do some extrudes in there. If you connect it to another polygon, another face, it will automatically bridge faces together. So complete different workflows. Also keep this in mind, the good old cut tool, where you can obviously cut edges, create new polys, just extrude them, and it will automatically cut out your geometry. So new workflows. And again, if your mesh is not looking the way you want, just use the retopo tools and it will automatically be fixed for you. Even in the latest update, so in the 0.2 update, with Smart Extrude, you can cut through multiple faces. So now if you select multiple faces, multiple polys, and you just drag it through the complete model, you have a multi-cut. And also there is a new option available when you select multiple polygons, when you shift move them, so you're gonna extrude them, that they will as soon as they touch another object, they will automatically merge. So that's also helping a lot. Also, some other small updates. UV editor, performance wise, there's a big improvement done with regards to how it operates. So if you select the UV cluster in the latest update, you can, when you move it around, it's very, very responsive. If you do it in a previous Max version, it took a lot of time. There's also the new unfold algorithm available. So with unfolding, there's a new latest algorithm, so you get much better UV layouts, and you can also pack UV clusters together based on the new algorithm. So that's also in there. And some last update saving. If you save your Max 2022 file, obviously, depending on how big the file is, it saves in 7 seconds. Well, in Max 2016, the save took 23 seconds. And that's based on a scene with 10 million tries with 32 objects, so 3,200 objects. Okay, so huge speed improvements over there. And also there's a hide by category. So that's a update on 3ds Max with regarding to games. So there's a lot to cover in 30 minutes. So in Maya 2022, the first implementation was all about new ways how Maya was launching. Previous versions of Maya took quite a long time to start up, because it was loading things on the background. It was stealing the focus, and you literally had to wait before the application was ready. And now with the latest version of Maya, it's much faster. And also when you have a previous Maya version installed, you have better options to manage your old preferences. So you automatically gonna get a dialog. The previous output window is not opened anymore automatically, but it's an option available in your Windows menu in Maya 2022, where you can decide, hey, I want to see my output window whenever I want to open it. And obviously it starts with an empty scene, but when you open a new scene, you don't get the warning anymore because you just launched Maya with a new scene. Hey, do you want to save this scene? So a lot of things. With the 0.1 update, Autodesk did put a lot of effort in user-friendly. That my app needs to be much more user-friendly. So there are getting started tutorials introduced. So there's a Maya home page, how they call it, and there are state machines. So you can literally with state machines and Python scripting, you are able to create interactive tutorials if you want to, based on state machines. There are 2D overlays, so a menu is being overlaid on top of Maya. And there's also a Maya bot rig available with Arnold shaders, human IK rig, so that can be used as an asset straight out of the box. And also there's finally the search available. Max has the search option for quite some time now. In Maya, it is available since the 0.1 update. So with Control F, you can automatically start searching for tools, for functions. You can search for Python commands, for objects. So if you type box, because you're a Max user, you're looking for a box, in Maya it's called a cube, it will find a synonym for that. Okay, and also shortcut keys. So there's a search option available in Maya 2022 as well. Sweep mesh, you probably have seen the sweep mesh introduction in Maya 22. Much easier to create swept meshes, like having a sweep profile. In the latest updates, you can decide if you have multiple curves, multiple splines, what will the output be? Is it one object, or will it generate 3 different objects? So some examples, you have a path, you select a profile, can be a custom profile, and you have all your attribute sliders available in there. There's a pattern based on mesh distribution nodes. So you can radial distribution, that kind of stuff in there. Also, keep in mind for games workflow, very important, your vertex count, because there's a difference if you compare your Maya model with Unity, for instance. with regards to vertices, because Unity will split the vertex count based on hard or smooth edges. So there is a game vertex plugin available. It's not activated by default, so you need to go to the plugin manager, and in the plugin manager you can activate the game vertex count options, and then you can set, hey, am I going to export my model to Unity or Unreal, so that you have a better way to visualize your vertice. Obviously, you need to activate the statistics to see, hey, what is my vertex count. And also very important in game workflows, vertex coloring. So there is a better improved vertex color display in Maya available. So as soon as you start painting your vertices, you immediately get the effect in the viewport. And in the attribute editor, you can decide which channel do I want to see. So there's the RGB channel is available. Also in UV editor, there's a new heads-up mode for UV positions. So you know in the UV selection, you have your UV coordinate value position, and there is a heads-up display in the lower left corner of the UV editor. So, and that's available in the view menu, where you can choose, hey, I want to see my UV position. Okay, so you have better insights in the UV editor. And also finally, that's what I would say, you know, the extrude is finally working how it should work. So in Maya 2020, when you extrude faces, you know, that went completely wrong. And in Maya 2022, when you just extrude a single face, now you have the extrude how it should react. Okay, so that's also fixed in there. With deformers, a lot of updates with deformers, the solidify deformer, which helps a lot if you have objects, you know, like a tail of an alligator, you know, with the chunks, and you want to deform that particular part of the geometry without influencing the chunks on the tail. And in the latest update, in the 0.2 update, there's a new scale option is available in there. Also, deformer fall-offs can be shown as a gradient as well, so that you can easier identify, hey, what's going on with the impact of the deformer. And also the tag system has been improved. So literally, you can make a bunch. You can select a bunch of vertices or faces, you can tag them, and the component tags can be influenced based on a deformer fall-off. Okay, so, and there's also the proximity wrap with skin binding. And obviously there are all, you know, the out of the box 2022, it's a lot, it's really a lot what has been improved with regards to time slider bookmarks, new ghosting editors, cached playback for simulations and dynamics, and also human IK neck motion reduction. That was also an issue. And then we have, you know, that's another chapter, Bifrost. Where you have your visual effects, where you can do granular solvers, glove solvers. There is, with the 0.2 update, there is also again a Bifrost update. A good thing would be to start with a sample graph. So in the visor, you have a bunch of sample graphs available, and there's also, you know, there are many tutorials available. And keep in mind, with the collection, you have 15 Bifrost simulations, so you can run it on 15 computers. VR is available. It's still an app. So in the Maya App Store, you will find the Create VR for Maya, where you can, you know, start sketching stuff in VR. And the Oculus and HTC Vive are being supported. And then USD in Maya, it's fully implemented. In Max, for 3ds Max, it's available as beta. And you know, USD, that's the universal scene description, so an open source based file where the end goal is to seamlessly exchange your data between Max, Maya, Houdini, Unity, Unreal, where you don't have any loss of materials, cameras, animation. And we can reference in USD files. You can convert your USD to native Maya data. So many options are available with regards to import and export referencing. That's all available in there. And I know in Unity there is a preview package available to get USD stuff in there. So the final the end result, when it's all all settled, the final thing would be to export USD file, and all your materials, all your data will be automatically sent over. So as what I said, there's a lot of stuff. So obviously, how are we gonna manage all the data? Okay, so because we have max data, we have Maya data, we have huge amount of assets, we have animation, cinematic stuff. How are we gonna manage that? So ShotGrid, that's not part of the collection, so that's something to be aware of. But it's a trusted tool used by over 1,000 studios worldwide for managing your assets. So this can be, a game project where you have your sound, your levels, mocap data, cinematic scenes, people working from home, people working from another satellite location in a different time zone. How you're gonna manage that? Okay, that's gonna be the challenge. So in theory, this should be, a production pipeline, how things are being work from one department to another department. Okay, in the ideal world. Okay, so Shotgun can act like having a hub, because it can be, again, it can be very challenging, okay, to start doing your communication, send your assets over and back, have some reviews on it. Very challenging, and this can be in the reality, this can be your pipeline. So it's very hard to scale on this. If you want to expand your team with new artists, that's very challenging. So with Shotgun, or ShotGrid, how it's called, it was Shotgun, but now it's called ShotGrid. It's gonna act as a hub. Okay, so it's gonna be your well, call it data communication platform, where you have different tasks, and it can be customized based on a different task. So you can, we have the creative collaboration, which works with a very dedicated template. You can do client communication with different environment, tracking, reporting. You need to know, hey, what is the task, what is the artist doing, and also for managing your production. So that's obviously that's the goal for ShotGrid. Okay, so you have, when you started, you have some overview, like compared with a sheet, where you can see all the sequences, the assets, where you can quickly see, hey, what's going on, how many versions do we have, what's the project status, all that kind of stuff needs to be measured, especially on larger teams. So you want to know, hey, what's going on? I want to know what's my task for the upcoming week, and also as a manager, you want to know, hey, what is the status of this task? Okay, so your scheduling, it's very important. And then obviously also the creative collaboration. Okay, you want to work on an asset. So in here you can see, hey, that's my task from an asset. I'm launching the application. Can be Max, Maya, Houdini, whatever. And then I'm gonna start working on my assets. Okay, and then I'm gonna reply on tasks, and that is completely gonna be managed with ShotGrid. So I'm gonna publish it back to ShotGrid. Can create, a thumbnail, description, and so that's a way how we can manage our data, and that we know, hey, what do we need to do, and what's the version of this. Okay, super important, especially when your team is getting bigger and bigger. So also client communication, so you can give your client, you can access to a ShotGrid site where they can log in, so they can check, hey, what is going on. You can prepare playlists for them. if you want those, so they can agree, hey, this is totally looking fine, this is what we have expected, or can you change this and this things. And then there's also the RV and tracking reporting. That's typically, it's a management tool, so that you want to know, hey, what's going on, what is the status of this particular project, the asset, so you can measure all your timing, your scheduling, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very important when working with bigger projects, and all can be automated. So there are templates available out of the box, but you can also start automating based on the Python API, or the REST API is also available. And there are plug and play integrations available, just what I said. So it's not only available for Autodesk products, but it's also available for Unreal, Unity, Houdini, Photoshop, because all the assets which are important for your pipeline needs to be managed. Okay, you need to know, hey, what is the version? And also, it doesn't matter where you're working. If you're working from home or from the office, you want to have a managed data platform wherever you are. So that's a very important stuff. Okay, so with that, yeah, we only have, what is it, 8 minutes left for Q&A, because there are so many tools in there, and the Autodesk developers are rapidly working on the development of Max, Maya, and also Arnold. I didn't touch on Arnold, but just for cinematic, if you want to create a cinematic, there's a new version available from Arnold since last week or so, yesterday, the day before yesterday. So with the biggest addition is the Intel open denoiser. So the thing is, the Intel open IO denoiser works real time in the view. So you can run Arnold, and it will instantly denoise in the viewport. Very, very fast. Okay, and there are some videos available since yesterday, or the day before yesterday. So again, there is a lot of development. Keep in mind, updates every 3 months. You do get an update for Max, Maya, Arnold, with not only bug fixes, but tons of new stuff in there. So be aware of that. If you have any questions with regard to the collection, Max, Maya, Bifrost, Arnold, whatever kind of question, I'm gonna check the chat panel if there are any questions, and I will answer your questions. So let me quickly check my chat panel, the Q&A. Let's see. Okay. That's one question. Can I switch from a single product to a collection? That, to be honest, I have to check if there is any kind of promotion available. If it is possible, I know from the past there were options available if you did a upgrade from a single point to a collection, but that's something I have to look that up. Or so I to give you a honest answer, at the moment I don't know, and if I'm not sure, I'm not gonna say yes or no. It's something I need to check if it's possible. But keep in mind though, if you have different artists, so typically you have your Max guy or girl who's really good in Max. You should, in my humble opinion, you should not bother them with a different DCC tool. If they can do great stuff with 3ds Max, it's fine. And it's also vice versa. If you have a Maya artist, okay, which is very comfortable in Maya, keep working in Maya, because you have the tools available in the collection. So that's a big advantage. And also the combination of the tools, it's brilliant. The Retopo tools in Max, You know, it's the character rigging in Maya. It's Bifrost for doing effects. It's Arnold in both products, obviously. And manage all your animation, all your assets, all your stuff with ShotGrid. That's gonna help you in your production pipeline. So if having said that, that was the only question about the collection we got. So that will yeah. With that said, if there are no any questions, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining. This was not pre-recorded, obviously, and enjoy the rest of your day. If you have, you know, in the last 5 minutes, if you have any questions, just put your questions in the Q&A. Okay, and again, have a nice day, and thanks again for attending this webinar.